I am not watching porn, Steve. I am live streaming. Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to the United Stand. I bet you weren't expecting to see Kev on a live stream, but this is the first time that I've got it, so you are stuck with the ugly one, unfortunately. But as far as Manchester United are concerned, we have got plenty to discuss this evening. And there is a story straight away that is coming out which shows that Ineos maybe starting to, flex their financial muscle, the 25% that they want to buy from Manchester United. They are looking at three possibilities in the defensive shape. We are talking straight away in this video about Matthias de Ligt, Taribo and Bramthwaite as well from Everton. So I want to get your thoughts on that. It's great to see so many people in the live chat. Go on, Kev, says Matt. One love, Kev. That's great. It's great to see. Confidence. That's what it's all about here on the United Stand. But thanks very much for the support. So let's get straight into this one anyway. Rob Dawson from ESPN over the last couple of hours has said that Manchester United are interested in the three defenders that I have just mentioned. I'm going to run a poll straight away. We might as well just get straight into it. No messing about here when Kev's doing the 8 o'clock show on a Thursday. So the poll will be, we're going to look at these three defenders. We'll look at the pros and cons. But I want to ask you if you've got the choice of one of these defenders that you could sign for Manchester United in the summer, which one would you choose? And like I say, there's pros and cons of all these defenders. We'll throw in Matthias de Ligt. This is obviously somebody that has worked with Erik ten Hag at Ajax. We're going to throw in Taribo, and we're going to throw in Bramthwaite from Everton, who is obviously hot property at the minute. So hopefully producer Greg can throw that one into the live chat, and you lot can all get interactive, because that is what the United Stand is all about. It's the community. It's not about what I've got to say. It is about what you have to say. And I'm really interested to see what you think on this one. So you can only choose one of these. Matthias de Ligt. I'll start on Matthias de Ligt at the risk of repeating myself. Yes, he has played under Erik ten Hag before at Ajax. Moved to Juventus and then on to Bayern Munich. And if reports are true that are coming out of Germany, it is suggesting that Matthias de Ligt is not happy and he would be open to a move to the Premier League. Now, I don't think there'll be any shortage of teams after him. I think fantastic player. I think if you look at what he did at Ajax, it just hasn't worked out at Bayern Munich. But he is a fantastic player. He is certainly an upgrade on Victor Lindelof, on Harry Maguire, on Johnny Evans. So this is an area that Manchester United certainly need to strengthen in. In fact, we need to strengthen the whole team. Let's not beat around the bush. So Matthias de Ligt is your first one. Taribo as well, a really interesting player. I think the one thing about these three players is they are quite similar. We're looking at three players that are physically strong, three players that are tall in height, quick. Personally, I'm going to move quickly on to Bramthwaite. He would be the number one for me. Now, the poll is up, so make sure you get voting, and there's been 763 votes already on that, so nice one for that. Yes, Bramthwaite is the hot property. He is the player that I believe that Manchester United probably should be going after. 21 years old in comparison to Matthias de Ligt and Taribo, who are respectively 24 years old. So it's not relatively old for a centre-back, but 21 years old, absolutely. He's going to be one for the future. And if Erik ten Hag wants to start laying down foundations at Manchester United, if we look at the arrival of Højlund, for instance, 20 years old, we've got Kobe Mainoo, 18 years old. We need, somebody said do a dab, you're getting it, you are getting it. You've stopped me well in my flow there, but I will now continue. Oh, love the bants. Well, I can't believe it, man, the banter here. But Bramthwaite is achievable. he's attainable because of the financial trouble that Everton are in. So we have to look at that, and I'm sure when you look at Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he's not daft. He is not a silly man. Yes, he is a businessman, but he is invested in Manchester United, and he will want the best for his investment in Manchester United. So if the future is going to be attaining players of this age and getting down the age range of Manchester United, then that is a positive for me. It really is. Branthwaite gets the headlines. He's obviously been on loan. He is a two-footed defender, which is it's quite rare, especially when we talk so much about centre-backs and we're like, one has to play on the left, one has to play on the right. This is somebody who will shine without a shadow of a doubt. And again, in the mould of Højlund, if you want to bring down the kind of age of the team, there's no doubt that a player like Varane, we can't count on Varane because he is injury prone, and that comes with age. The same with Johnny Evans. Victor Lindelof, can he get into this Manchester United team? No. So this is exciting news, if anything, that's breaking. And yes, it is speculation at this moment in time, but there is no smoke without fire. It's out there, and we have to dissect it here on the United Stand, and we read into it. We react to the news that is out there. Now, them three names, they get me excited. Of course they would. We've been subjected to the likes of Harry Maguire playing centre-back for United. And don't get me wrong, Harry Maguire has done well this season when he's been asked of it. But I think we all know that deep down, Erik ten Hag wanted to get rid of Harry Maguire. And he's just not United class. You know, we need to get back to basics. Gary R has thrown in a super chat. Thank you very much for that, sir. He says, good stuff, Kev. You rascal, yeah. Who are you calling a rascal, eh? We're off. We have started here. We have started. We've got, I've got so many things to actually try and get through within such a short space of time. Obviously, you will know me from the Van Cams, and I was saying to them at the United Stand, I said, listen, I need more than 10 minutes. I need more than 10 minutes. So it's great that you have given me the time. I'm loving the love in the comment section as well. This is absolutely fantastic. But other news that is also on the agenda this evening, we're going to be looking into Anthony Martial. There's been conflicting stories that have come out today. Roy Keane has also slammed Bruno Fernandes, not physically, you know, he's kind of threw in a bit of a curveball that we will look at. But just on the vote, I'm going to have a quick look if I can do this. I'm not the most tech-savvy person in the world, but who would you choose to sign, I asked you. At the top was Todibo, De Ligt and Branthwaite. Now, this shows exactly what I know, because you, the viewers, have gone with Todibo at 44% of the vote, which is great. Matthias De Ligt comes in at 31%, and Branthwaite, I think I am probably on my own on this one, so I will have to continue to try and beat this drum on the United Stand in the fan forums, getting it going. But yeah, well, I've been shown up here on my first show, but listen, it's horses for courses. You lot have your say, which is fantastic here on the United Stand. 1.7k votes on that, so I'll go with you lot on this one then. Let's bring in Todibo. That's what I would say. In other news, the main one today that I actually wanted to pick up on was conflicting stories of Anthony Martial. Tony Marshall scores again. No, he doesn't. He's injured again. 50 million down the drain. Tony Marshall injured again. Now, the story I wanted to actually bring in here, if I can just do this, was a story that actually broke out this morning, which was Anthony Martial. Let me just have a look at this now. Anthony Martial, told to train alone after Man United star failed to regain fitness following a sickness bug, with Frenchman not deemed fit enough to join the team as his contract runs down. Now, I read this initially when I seen it this morning and thought, yeah, this sounds like Anthony Martial. And this is where the player power aspect, the fan aspect comes in at Manchester United. The Martial FC brigade was straight onto this. They really were. And they were looking at it, they were saying, Eric Ten Hag out. He's doing the exact same that he did to Jadon Sancho. This man cannot manage players. He can't manage egos, so he has to banish them to one side. And I looked at it and I'm like, seriously? How can you give Anthony Martial any time of day when you look at his Manchester United career? This is a player that has been at Manchester United for 9 years. 9 years. What has Anthony Martial, as Ricky would say, what's Martial brought to Manchester United over them 9 years? And I'm looking and I think back and yeah, the Liverpool debut, which was 9 years ago. Welcome to Manchester, Anthony Martial. It should have been the start of really, really great things at Manchester United for Anthony Martial. And for me, he's just never kicked on. I don't want to use the injuries as an excuse for Martial. For me, there's been an attitude problem, a clear problem. And I don't think any manager, apart from Louis van Gaal, who actually signed him and installed a Ballon d'Or clause. Ballon d'Or. If closer to fell on the floor with Anthony Martial, I tell you, hey, the jokes are firing out, man. But yeah, I mean, people defend Anthony Martial, and for 9 years he's been at Manchester United. A story like that comes out, and I believe it. Jose Mourinho was at Manchester United, wanted to get rid of Anthony Martial. He wanted to sell him, and Manchester United stepped in and said no. You know, that is a debate for another day, but we talk about the structure of Manchester United and managers with their hands tied. Mourinho identified this years ago and called out Anthony Martial. In fact, not so long ago, a certain man, Ralph Rangnick, who a lot of United fans can get behind because he spoke the truth at Manchester United, was shut down and hounded out of Manchester United, claimed that Anthony Martial did not want to play for Manchester United. He refused to be in a matchday squad. And again, the Martial fans were straight in and saying, no, he wouldn't have done that. It's Rangnick calling him out. It's happened too many times. But the one interesting thing about this story was, this story broke obviously today. Very, very shortly after, it was followed up by Anthony Martial's agent coming out and basically slamming these, what he called rumours, which again, it's a contradiction. You kind of look at it and go, right, okay, so who's right and who is wrong? But Philippe Lamboli, good with the old French pronunciations there, aren't I? Said he denied the reports, claiming he currently had a hip injury. So this is why he's training away from the first team. He said Anthony had been in Manchester for 9 years. Yes, he sure has, picking up a hell of a lot of money. If he wasn't a great professional, he wouldn't have been at the club for so long. Yeah, nothing to do with the fact that Manchester United were absolutely shocking in the decision to give Anthony Martial a new contract because they were terrified of losing him. That's all it was. They were terrified of losing what they classed as an asset because they'd outlaid so much for him. Whereas if we operated like a big club, what we really should have done is gone, no, Tony Martial. No. You've not done the business. What we're going to do is release you. And this is what big clubs do. But as in the past, with the likes of Phil Jones, Anthony Martial, United have looked at it and triggered these extensions to contracts purely to try and protect the asset, to save face, thinking that they'll get money back. Now, one of the things that his agent says, he sums it up by saying that Anthony Martial will be here for the rest of his contract, which runs until the summer. So again, he's getting paid. He'll be recuperating, doing whatever. And we will look back on the Anthony Martial kind of career at Manchester United, and it'll be, what did he do? And again, there was so many could have beens. He could have been this, he could have been that. But I'm sure when he settles down with his grandchildren or whatever, and they say, what did you do? I played for Manchester United. What did you win? What did you achieve? He must look back with regret. But the annoying thing is, Anthony Martial has had opportunities to leave this club. He's had opportunities to move on. And again, another player who has had it very, very easy at Manchester United. I'd be interested to know your thoughts on Anthony Martial. Is he a player? I mean, God forgive. I mean, would anybody actually look at this and say, yeah, I would keep Anthony Martial? And I know there are fans out there that like Anthony Martial. And from a football perspective, I've never once called out his talent, his football. I know there is something in there. And I'm always told that if he goes somewhere else, he will rip it up. Well, he's going to have to rip it up somewhere else, because at Manchester United, it is certainly over. I don't see any way back. And to be honest, the two conflicting stories, I think I tend to look at the first story and believe that there's more in the fact that he is training away from the first team. Again, we will see on that one. But there's a couple of super chats. This is great stuff. What else would you be doing on a Thursday night? Wayne Finnegan, how are you, sir? Says, yes, Kev. Welcome, you legend. Ricky the Sausage will want to keep Evans. He says, Bramthwaite, 100 for me. Team Bramthwaite. Yes, Wayne. Thank you very much for the super chat. Ricky would, without a shadow of a doubt, keep Johnny Evans. He absolutely loves Johnny Evans. And in fairness, Johnny Evans, when we first signed him, I kind of looked down that route of thinking, is he a new... He's basically just a Vegas kind of signing, somebody that was just easy to bring back to United. I'm sure you would have heard all this stuff. He's got the United DNA running through his veins and all that. Yeah, well, I have. Let me play for Manchester United. But Johnny Evans, in fairness, has done an all right job at United. But if United want to be successful, if we want to be considered a competitive team in the Premier League, then we need to really be signing top-class players. And hopefully, what we're seeing with Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I just hope that they do back up all the talk that is going on in the media at the moment. Daddy McBean with the super chat, thank you very much, Sunshine, said, would you still loan in a striker if Martial stays? Love the board. The board. Yes, thank you very much. And before anyone takes the mic saying, did a child do that? I did this a couple of minutes before I went live on air. This is what Kev does. This is dedication. That is the treble. Remember them good old days. Daddy McBean says, would you still loan in a striker if Martial stays? Of course I would. Yeah, is it that? Yeah, I suppose it is a question, but Martial staying does absolutely nothing for Manchester United, so it certainly doesn't address the striker issue. I've never considered Anthony Martial to be a Manchester United striker. I thought he played his best football on the left-hand side. Just keeping up with these super chats. Alan, good evening, Alan, says, TUS, lucky to have Kev fronting. Great for Man U. Thank you very much. The love that the United Stand community is showing Kev here is absolutely top draw. And I was going to say earlier, obviously it's the first time I've done this. I was equally going to say it could very well be the last time. So we're seeing history here, do you know what I mean? So what I would say is, if you're enjoying the content and the subjects that we're trying to rattle through here, make sure you finger the like button, as I usually say on the old Vancam. Martial staying at Manchester United opened up a different kind of avenue that I wanted to explore, and that was player power at Manchester United. In fact, we'll throw in player FC into this as well. And you know what I'm on about. There'll be some of you sat behind the old keyboards now going, I'm one of them player FC people. What I mean by this is when I mention somebody like Anthony Martial, we think of Ronaldo in the past, Pogba, just to mention a few kind of recent ones. There are certainly players at Manchester United that have a hold over supporters. And I mentioned this in a recent fan cam. When I was looking back, when I was a young boy, obviously idolised Brian Robson in the 80s. Yes, I would have had a poster of him on my wall. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. Moving through the gears and through the years, the likes of Eric Cantona, Roy Keane, you know, the players like this, Cristiano Ronaldo, in his first stint at Manchester United, I look at these players and I'm like, yes, these are, you know, you worship the ground they walk on. You kind of look at them and think they are gods. These are the gods. You know, we go to Old Trafford, the church, we worship them. And that is what football is all about. But I do think that some people channel far too much emotion and time into single players at this moment in time instead of the club Manchester United. Something I've tweeted out recently, it got a positive reaction. So that's the reason now that I have this audience that I want to bring it to you. And it would be to channel all this effort, everything into Manchester United as a club, because Manchester United will always be there. You know, players have come and gone. Past players, as I've just mentioned, you can go as far back as Duncan Edwards, George Best, you know, the United Trinity, obviously. You've got Bobby Charlton, Dennis Law, and again, there's just so many big names at Manchester United. They come, they go, they do a job for Manchester United. But these supporters, they get bogged down so much that they would, you know, they put these players before the manager. And I think that has been a huge problem at Manchester United over the years. Supporters undermining managers because of the time that they invest and the affinity that they have for these individual players. We've seen it most recently with Ronaldo when he come back to United. And don't get me wrong, I was one of these people that was so giddy when Cristiano Ronaldo returned to Manchester United. What Man United fan in the right mind would not get excited and get behind that? But the way that it ended, the way that he left Manchester United, you had to look at it, and it was just a sad ending. But you still had these people, you know, Ten Hag is the problem. How is this man supposed to succeed at Manchester United if this player power exists, this player FC exists? And this is where I do feel sorry for Eric Ten Hag. We'll just get on to this bit about Eric Ten Hag, because I think he does need time at Manchester United to try and get in the players that he wants at Manchester United, and then he can be judged. There is so many players that are still clinging on to the fact that they still represent Manchester United, and it scares them absolutely stiff. And I can rattle off names very, very quickly. We look at Harry Maguire, for instance, Scott McTominay. There are players there at Manchester United. There are two that spring to mind very quickly, because West Ham wanted to retain these two players. Bids were made for them. And this is where this fan aspect dribbles down into the players, because they believe that they won't be playing under this manager. You know, they think that they will outlast the manager. And I think that is a huge issue at Manchester United. You've had so many players from past regimes. You've got players from the Solskjaer, Mourinho, going back through their managers. And yet, we are still at a stage where these players cling on for dear life, because I think deep down that they think they will outlive the manager at the club. And that isn't how it should be. At any top club, decisions are made and players are shifted out. You wouldn't see this at a club like Manchester City, let's say, for instance. That pains me to say that. But they are run like a proper football club. and Pep Guardiola will make the choice. Look at what happened to Cancelo, for Christ's sake. You know, one of the best players in the league in his position has a bust up with Phil Foden in training. Next minute, see you, mate. He's gone. He did the same when he moved in at Manchester City with Joe Hart. Made a massive call. I remember loads of my City mates could not believe that they got rid of Joe Hart. But sometimes you have to get rid of these players. You have to get them out. And this is where now, under Ineos, they have to make big decisions to work with the manager. One thing I have always said as well with Erik ten Hag, he does need help. We spoke a lot on the United Stand about getting a structure to the club and a director of football, somebody that can help Erik ten Hag out. Because I've always said it was an absolute sin that a player like Anthony, who cost 90 million, I don't want to go in too hard on Anthony here, but I'm using him as an example because the money that Manchester United outlaid on Anthony was, in football terms, was astronomical. They might have looked at it as being potential. But in the long term, there should have been some structure, a director of football, somebody to work with Erik ten Hag and look at that and maybe just push back on it slightly, ask a few questions. Would Anthony be worth any more than the 90 million that United outlaid on him in a couple of years' time? You know, is he going to get any better to basically fulfill the price tag that Manchester United paid for him? And I really don't think United would have purchased him if we had a structure in place where the players, the owners working with the manager would look at that and think, no, they would not have that. Super chats here again. Let me have a look. Jack Glancy says, what does Steve think about what's going on? Who cares what Steve thinks? Steve is an absolute clown. If you watch Fancam, you will know that he gets dog's abuse at the start of every video because he is a Manchester City fan, basically. And Manchester City fans are all clowns. I can get away with saying that here, live streaming to all these thousands of people. So, yeah, have a bit of that. Sharif El Kilani, hope I got your name right, said, he's not the man. He's not even the man for Paris Saint-Germain. This one is for you, bro. Always happy when I see you. Have a great one. Cheers. For anybody that doesn't know what that message actually means, this was at a time back in the United Stand days when we used to do it all through StreamYard and that. And I was asked about Pochettino coming to Manchester United. And yes, that was the famous saying was, he's not the man. He's not even the man for Paris Saint-Germain. So why are Manchester United linked with him? And yes, he's not really doing great at Chelsea either, is he? De Gea, United fan first, says Martial, Sancho getting off lightly. Jose banished, a World Cup and Champions League winner. Schweinsteiger, manager over a player, always. I'm actually glad that a few people are actually kind of looking at that and know exactly what I am getting at, because again, a footballer's career is so short, and you look at it and you think, yeah, you do invest so much into these players, and what do you get back? You know, you do get the superstars that come through, the ones that you love, the ones that you adore, but you really have to go with the manager. And going back really to what I've just said there as well, we've had managers that have been undermined, no shadow of a doubt. People have looked, we know by looking in that managers' hands have been tied at this club, and you can go back all the way, even to David Moyes. God love David Moyes. You know, had the job of coming in after Sir Alex Ferguson, but inherited a team of champions. You know, let that one sink in. You know, that should have been the stage at United. We talk about structure and what should have been going on. That should have been the time when Jose Mourinho come into Manchester United. You know, Mourinho would have inherited a team of champions, and I think that success would have been sustained through a better manager, not the chosen one. You know, Sir Alex Ferguson should have never have been allowed that call to be bringing in David Moyes as the chosen one. But even if you look back to David Moyes, he spent all that summer chasing Cesc Fabregas from Barcelona. I was absolutely buzzing at the time. I thought this Cesc Fabregas could be the next Paul Scholes. That's what I was looking at. Who did we end up with? Fellaini and his elbows, hey? That's what we ended up with. And we've had to deal with that since, 2013, all the way through now. We're in 2024 and nothing has changed at Manchester United. But this is the one reason. I know a lot of you out there would have been looking at the Sheikh Jassim bid. Everybody wanted a total buyout of Manchester United, including me. But there didn't seem to be much interest on the table. On the table at that time. So we've had to run with Sir Jim and this Ineos bid, which will be 25% of Manchester United. The one good thing about that is that he is going to restructure the club. And this is something that should never have got to this point. United, if it was sustainable and run properly as a football club, we wouldn't be in this mess now. We would not be in this mess now. And Manchester City would not have overtaken us as the powerhouse of English football. It just wouldn't have happened. Because if you build on success, like we should have, when Sir Alex Ferguson left, he left a team of champions. If we'd have built on that, continued to invest money in the right players, the right areas, we would still be at the top of English football, or certainly we would still be competing. And one thing I did want to mention, and very, very quickly, I don't know whether I'm running out of time or not, somebody might be able to tell me, but I was going to touch on Marcus Rashford. I want to touch on Marcus Rashford. I've seen a few kind of shows recently, and a lot of supporters, Manchester United supporters, I think they're definitely divided, and especially being at the live show in Manchester. I know Mr. Goldbridge himself put a question out to the crowd, and it was keep or sell Marcus Rashford. And I must say, the old eyebrows were raised when I was looking out from the side, and I could see so many hands in the air when it went to sell Marcus Rashford. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, wow. You know, it just shows how quickly things can turn in football. Marcus Rashford, no doubt, had a fantastic season last season at Manchester United. Now, we talk about fantastic. The goals were fantastic, but the performances that Marcus Rashford put in were really no different to the performances that he's putting in this season. The only difference was that last season, the goals were there. And again, it's something I spoke about on the fan forums. Something that Ricky's alluded to, Faz has alluded to, and we're all kind of singing from the same hymn sheet. It's the fact that the performances now that Marcus Rashford, or the non-performances, the goals, because they have dried up, are certainly, last season it masked the performances by Marcus Rashford. If you look at a performance against Spurs, that's the most recent one, Spurs. Marcus Rashford scores a goal, he runs over to the crowd and gives it this to the Manchester United fans, you know. So he's saying this to me, he's saying it to you. He's looking out the crowd, he's basically saying, you know, carry on talking, you know, or stop the talking, whatever it is. And Harry Maguire was absolutely lambasted when he did a similar gesture. I forget who it was, Albania, or some team he scored against for England. And I remember it was Roy Keane had been absolutely scathing about Harry Maguire. And Roy Keane doesn't hold back. We will touch in a bit about some comments that Roy Keane has made about Bruno Fernandes. You might agree with this, you might disagree with it. But the time Roy Keane laughed it off after it, you know, he's like, what's he going on about? You know, why is he celebrating the goal like that? You know, and he knew, apologies for the Irish accent there. Roy Keane, if you're watching, that was absolutely rubbish, dreadful, dreadful. But he was trying to make a point, Harry Maguire. Now, there's a time and a place to make a point. For me, if Marcus Rashford scores the winning goal against Tottenham, comes off at the end of the match and decides to talk to the Sky cameras, BT, whoever it may be, and says, that one's for you, after scoring the winner, I'm down with that. I'll say, well, all right. But at the same time, I'd say you need to be doing this on a consistent basis, Marcus, because this is now, it's been going on for years. One I would like to throw, and let's get a poll kicked off, folks. Let's get it going. I would like to get a poll going on Marcus Rashford. Is it a loss of form or a big issue? Now, the big issue bit means that he is a big issue at Manchester United. Loss of form is self-explanatory. It means he's lost his form. Now, I've just said to you before, I don't see it as a loss of form personally, because I don't believe he was putting in the performances last season. At the risk of repeating myself, the goals, they masked the season that Marcus Rashford had. But yes, against Tottenham, he scores. But after the game, you have to look at it. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, Marcus, mate, it's not a great performance. And you can't be going over to the crowd and doing that, because you're giving it the big one. You try to give it back and telling fans to keep quiet about you. You're working in an industry where you're the best paid player at Manchester United. And he's been dreadful, Marcus Rashford, this season. Running down blind alleys. And the one main criticism of Marcus Rashford, which I will always, I've said it for a couple of years now. The goals masked it last season, but decision-making. His decision-making is absolutely horrendous. He shoots when he should pass or cross it. He passes when he probably should be a bit more greedy and shoots. And this, for me, is what separates a player, and I'm certainly not comparing them, but a player like, let's say, Kylian Mbappe and Marcus Rashford are worlds apart. I cannot even believe, man, it was a debate. You know, that people on social media would argue, you know, who is the better player? You see some of them sometimes. A bit clickbaity or whatever. Maybe that one was. But I do genuinely believe at a certain time that people were mentioning Marcus Rashford in the same kind of conversation as Kylian Mbappe. And I'm thinking, whoa, man, steady on. Kylian Mbappe has done it at the top level. And when I say the top level, I'm talking with France as well. Yes, he plays for PSG. He absolutely rips it up in that league. And he's on a different level altogether. And this comes down to the fact that Kylian Mbappe, in the final third attacking area, makes the right decisions. That's what he does. You know, the one thing polar opposite to Marcus Rashford does not make the right decisions. I'm just going to have a quick look here. PT5, a member for 26 months. Finest of fair play to you, Sunshine, said, Kev, brilliant to see you on here. Super job. Thank you very much. That it's a bit like a game of football, this, the old being on a live show on your own. You know, it's all about confidence. And is that an issue? Whoa, that's just brought me in beautifully there. Is that an issue with Marcus Rashford? Is it a confidence thing? Because the goals last year, he was on the crest of a wave. But again, I do reiterate the point. I don't actually believe that the performances were there. And the game against Spurs, I thought it was very similar to last season, apart from the fact that, you know, United didn't beat Spurs. So if it was a winning goal and Rashford comes over giving it the big one, I'd be like, fair enough, mate. But again, I'd be saying, can you do this next week? You know, can you do it on a cold night in Stoke on a Tuesday or whatever? You know, let's see what you're all about. The poll is still open on Rashford. Is it a loss of form or another issue? So make sure you get voting on that. Once it closes, I will bring the poll result straight to you. Keo V says, you're killing it, Kev. Now, for one moment, that could mean a really bad thing. It could mean that I've got to wrap up now, like killing it. Is that a good thing in the hood, down with the kids and all that? Is killing it a good thing, or it could be a bad thing? It could be a bad thing. Hopefully we will come to the end of this poll very shortly, but it's crazy, isn't it? It really is, to think that there are people out there that would mention Marcus Rashford and Kylian Mbappe in the same sentence. What I would like to say about Marcus Rashford is it seems like I'm getting on his back and that I'm bashing him. It's my opinion. And I've certainly backed Marcus Rashford. I think the work that he's done off the field has been absolutely sensational. It's been fantastic. It's been, it's mind-blowing what he's done at this age. But he's 26 years old. He's on a hell of a lot of money. And you have to look at it. And again, on a recent fan forum, we did kind of touch on this, and we were saying, would Sir Alex Ferguson have kept a player like Marcus Rashford now? Sir Alex Ferguson was ruthless. Don't know why I just said it like that, but he was ruthless. He got rid of Jaap Stam before he should have. He admitted that was a major, major mistake. He got rid of David Beckham before I personally thought he should have. Even before then, I remember Mark Hughes, Kanchelskis leaving. I was like, what's this guy doing, man? Does he know what he's doing? And yes, we continued to be successful. So I was like, yeah, Sir Alex Ferguson, what a man. He knew how to manage. He certainly did. So I won't have a bad word said about him. But let's see if we can get... I'm just having a quick look through. Great show, Kev, from Junior Films. Hey, Kev, good job, bro, from Lee Burke. Thank you very much, mate. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Sahin Corini, I think I got that one right. Said, I like him, but he's had only 2 to 3 good seasons. Yeah, I'm hearing you. It divides opinion. It certainly divides opinion. That's what we want to do on the United Stand. Is we don't want to be the sheep, do we? We don't want to sit here and just all sway towards one thing. I would prefer somebody to challenge me. I'd love it if somebody actually said, no, Marcus Rashford has been sensational for Manchester United. But to be honest, I don't think it's going to happen, because I think he's hit a ceiling. And it sounds really, really sad. I said this the other week. At the risk of writing somebody off at 26, what I would say is, at 26 years old, if you have not yet got the football IQ and the intelligence to be making the right decision in the final third, then what hope have you got? Marcus Rashford should be coming into his prime. He really should at this age now. At 27, 28, we should be looking at this player and going, wow, wow, wow. What a player. Marcus Rashford, we watched the development, broke into the team under Louis van Gaal. Oh yeah, I've got the file of facts as well. I forgot to show you that. That's for the old Van Cammers. They'll remember that. But yeah, Louis van Gaal brought him into Manchester United, give him his chance. There was injuries at that time, and we should have seen progression at Manchester United. And sadly, we have not seen that. Where is this poll? I am having a quick look for the poll. It seems to have disappeared. But I would say, if Marcus Rashford at 26 years old does not have this football IQ where he cannot make the right decision in the final third, I don't understand where he's going to get that from. You can't buy it. Of course you can teach it, but is he listening? It drives me insane, Manchester United, to look and think, how these and it's not just Marcus Rashford. Antony is not immune from criticism. Even Garnacho, to an extent, sometimes you would look and think that whoever the forward players are that are playing out wide are not producing any kind of crosses, any kind of width. And yet we went and bought a player like Højlund, and you think, right, let's play to his strengths. Let's, hit him early, balls in the box. Nothing really has changed in that sense. And I can't quite put my finger on it. I can't believe for 1 minute that they would be coached that way. Antony would drive you insane, wouldn't he? Oh, round and round and round. And you're like, he's cutting back. I don't get it. I really don't see that they're being coached in a way that they would attack a player, beat a player, and then turn back. So, yeah, I look at it. It's complete and utter madness. Kev, you're killing it, says Soham Panda. Again, we've not got to the bottom of whether killing it is a good thing. It could be a bad thing. Mama says Kev is a legend. Or it could be legend, I suppose. It could be somebody else being highly sarcastic here on Kev's debut show on the United Stand. I hope you're enjoying. I think we're going to do another 5 minutes. So I'm going to delve into the Louis van Gaal file of facts, see what else I've got in the old book. We've covered Marcus Rashford. I think we have. Can I find that? Poll's disappeared, I think. Yeah, I'll have a look in a bit. Anyway, you lot can see it. You tell me if you can in the comment section. I'm seeing a lot of love for Kev. I'm loving this. I really am. Unless that's my son, my wife, my mum putting in the chat, possibly. Oh wait, Greg, are you showing me the poll? Let's have a look. I can see it here. Look at this. 69% say, let me see, what's that top one? Said another issue. 30% say a loss of form. Sorry, that was, I'm trying to, run the show here. I'm trying to remain totally professional. Thank you to producer Greg there. That was a great help there, Sunshine. Thank you very much. I wanted to end on the midfield area. The midfield area at Manchester United. As Gary Neville would say, we're Manchester United. We certainly are. And here at Manchester United, we've had some absolutely sensational midfield pairings when you think back through the years. We think back to, I'm just thinking kind of in my lifetime, but even Brian Robson, Paul Ince, Scholes and Roy Keane. And then, there was this drop-off. We have certainly struggled in the centre of the park. Now, I thought that this was an issue that Manchester United had addressed when they brought in, here's Casemiro. I won't break into a song. I've not got time for that. You lot need to hear what I've got to say. I thought we'd address this when we signed Casemiro, and we also brought in Eriksen. But you have to look at it and you think that these players, they're the wrong side of 30. They're the wrong side of 30, and they were always going to be a bit of a stopgap at Manchester United. And don't get me wrong, Casemiro is well paid, really well paid. I wouldn't mind getting, a small portion of what that man gets at Manchester United. But I drive a van, he plays football really good, and that's the end of that one. But the midfield area has been such an issue at Manchester United. You think back to the days, even most recently of McFred, which, if you don't know what that is, it's McTominay and Fred mixed together, and that brings, Fred and McTominay. That's where you get McFred from. And it was horrendous. It really was horrendous to watch. Even most recently, we had, you think to the Louis van Gaal days, we had Schweinsteiger, who was well past his best. Morgan Schneiderlin, remember him? Do you remember him? Of course you do. You probably don't, in fact. I had nearly forgot about him, but it's a good job my memory works really well. But the key area at Manchester United for me has always been that midfield area. And the battles are won. This is where games are won, games are lost. And I think we're back at that stage. And I can't believe we're back at that stage where we are looking to address the central midfield area problems. The one shining light this season for Manchester United has been the introduction of Kobbie Mainoo. And a lot was made of Erik ten Hag chasing Frankie de Jong in the summer. I get it. I could see it. And then when we didn't sign him and Erik ten Hag didn't go for anybody else, a lot of people jumped on the bald messiah and were like, Eric, why did you not sign a player? Why did you not sign a midfielder? It's quite clear from that Kobbie Mainoo, after the pre-season that he had, was always in Erik ten Hag's team and his way of thinking this season. He has shown that, Kobbie Mainoo, by coming into this team and playing like a player 10 years ahead of what he is. It's crazy to think he's 18. I don't want to build up Kobbie Mainoo too much, but I think he actually deserves the praise, if that makes sense. He deserves everything he's getting at the moment. You have to remember he's 18 years old. And the interesting one is, and we haven't seen this combination yet. We've seen so many different combinations. McTominay clearly doesn't work in this midfield. I don't care what Ricky says. Even if you're watching Ricky, McTominay doesn't work. And whatever combination you put with Kobbie Mainoo against Spurs, for Christ's sake. Oh, God. Eriksen. God, I love Eriksen. But again, the combination isn't right because Christian Eriksen hasn't got the legs. And when Kobbie Mainoo is in with a player like Christian Eriksen, he is left exposed. So what I want to propose to you, it's Kobbie Mainoo. It's Casemiro, hopefully, because Casemiro is now back. He should be back, hopefully, and up to speed very shortly. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I give my gift to you. I give you Casemiro. Are you having that one? Of course you are. Casemiro. That could be the future of Manchester United's midfield. Now, don't get me wrong. Casemiro, there is issues, again, with his age. Is he a stopgap? He's here at Manchester United on great money. But again, we know his better days are behind him. But yes, I produce to you Casemiro. That could be the future at Manchester United. You've got Casemiro, who will be able to sit back, do the defensive work just as good as Kobbie Mainoo, could free Kobbie up to make, runs into the final third. And it's brilliant. It's great to see so much love. Kev's Classroom, the United Stand says, love it. It's been brilliant. I mean, if this becomes a regular thing, I'm going to start putting bullet points on the chalkboard. We'll go through it. I can be Teacher Rashford. You can address me as Mr. Rashford. Everybody in the chat, you can be the naughty children in the class. In fact, that's probably how it works, actually, because I'm trying to basically keep tabs on the live chat. I'm trying to look out. I'm sure I've seen Porno Kev slip through the net before, which I wasn't happy about, but I turned a blind eye to it. That's what Mr. Rashford does. I run a tight ship here in the United Stand School, and it's all about keeping you lot in order. What time are we on? Oh my God, we're up. We are really, it's time to go. I would like to take this opportunity very quickly to say thank you. In fact, thank you to Mr. Goldbridge. Thank you to Greg, Ryan, everybody behind the scenes that has allowed this to happen, because I, for one, never thought it would. Thanks to Beth and everybody else who give me a little bit of advice on what to do on a live stream. I'm sorry, I am not used to reading live comments. When I'm usually in the studio, I don't see them. I'll come home, I might have a look through and I can go, but the moment's gone then. So to actually be live in the moment, seeing these comments flashing through, it's the old Kev is back here. I'm trying not to laugh too much, trying to maintain my composure, but this has been groundbreaking. This has been something different for Kev. The love that you've shown me, hopefully you've fingered the like button. I know that sounds really wrong, but so does smash. If you say smash the like button, it sounds equally as bad. So, two wrongs don't make a right or whatever, but if you do that, that's great, but make sure you only do it once, because if you double finger it, it unlikes the video, and, I don't know anyway. This has been emotional. It really has. I hope you've enjoyed it. Crack on with your Thursday night, whatever you're up to, and I might never see you again. I might do, I might not. But listen, it's been great. We've covered everything. We've covered transfer targets. We've covered Tony Marshall. We've covered player power, Roy Keane, Marcus Rashford. Friday night, 8 o'clock on the United Stand. This is where it is. And thank you very much. I will see you all later. Ta-da!